Yeah.
There's going to be more time spent editing these shows than we actually spend getting together, hanging out, actually recording them.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
And E equals MC squared.
Yes.
And a lot of people hate Alan Parsons later because they said, well, your shit sounds too much like Pink Floyd. He goes,
He was the one who made that.
I'm the one who made that sound.
Right.
So shut the fuck up. You know, and so you start listening
Well,
to
then
that.
there's the whole John Fogerty got sued for sounding too much like John Fogerty.
Fogerty, and then you got
fucking imbeciles. The fact they got away with that is a fucking crime.
Yeah.
So the same thing
Wait,
with
they
Neil
got
Young.
away with
I hate-
that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Neil
Oh,
Young.
you guys just talked about that it happened. I didn't
Well,
know
let me
actually.
Let me give you.
Well,
a
in
real
contrast,
quick-
before he continues, in contrast, Neil Young was sued for not sounding like Neil Young.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
I remember that.
Well, let me.
He was
I'll
trying to
give
find
you
a new sound.
I'll give you a little bit of fill-in on the John Fogerty thing. So in 1986, there was a benefit that was held at the Capitol Center, which no longer exists in Largo, Maryland, for Vietnam veterans. So he comes up and he basically says, okay, and he played the intro to something off of Center Field, I guess, and then he stops and he comes to the microphone and he says, look, you guys have a lot of baggage.
I have seen this before.
And there's a lot of stuff you have to get over, and he said I'm gonna do the same thing and basically F the record companies, and he started playing Born on the Bayou and everybody just went completely apeshit because he hadn't done that in a long time, and he was being sued every time he did it, and he was like, fuck you, sue me, that's mine. And
Interesting.
yep, and he's had the ability, and then they went to court and stuffed Fantasy Records up its own ass, and so now he can play it.
Oh, so he can play his old stuff now.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
Which is one of the reasons why there's certain songs on ASCAP we can't play because John Fogerty owns it.
Okay, one thing I thought was kind of funny was this may be
That's good
criminal.
though.
I'm saying.
I like that if
But it was
anybody
like,
owns it, it's him.
Before I realized what was going on, I was like, Old Man Down the Road sounds a little bit like Run Through the Jungle.
Yes.
And then I found out about it, and then I thought about it and was like, there is one little problem though. I kind of like it more.
Yeah.
Ooh, should I? Am I allowed?
You know what? It's almost, I'd almost say I at least like it as much, if not more. And of course, the production values are gonna be
Enormously better.
Well, it's like you and I talked about that falls along with the conversation of guilty pleasures, where I was calling you from. I took my wife to go see Poison, Cinderella, and Faster Pussycat for like the third time, and I was calling you up, and she was like, "What is that? Their guilty pleasure or something?" Well, yeah. If you like something at the same time, you're going, "Am I going to be poked fun of?" Yeah, I will freely admit, I love heavy metal. I love prog rock. I love '80s music. I'm a big Duran Duran fan.
Yeah. I mean, I like it.
I mean, Rio is probably one of the greatest Duran Duran albums ever. Duran Duran is
stand behind this.
And what's really cool is that I got to see Duran Duran about 12 years ago at the Walnut Creek Amphitheater here in Raleigh.
I hate
And
you
it
were
was
not speaking.
great. It was the
So
original lineup.
Let me get this straight. You pissed off my brother because you actually saw Maiden live, and now you pissed off
I'm pissed
Dr.
off
Weiss
because I've seen Pink Floyd
because
live.
you've seen Pink Floyd live, and now you pissed off Dr. Weiss because you've seen Duran Duran live. Okay.
I'm over my pistivity.
We have come full circle.
With regard to the Floyd, I'm over my pistivity about that because then I go, the Who?
No, I was going to go see the remaining
Dr. Weiss
surviving
has
members.
seen The Who.
Oh, see, I was going to go see the remaining surviving members of The Who. Everybody minus Keith Moon. Because Keith Moon died before I was born. Or shortly after I was born, rather. And they announced the tour, and the night before they were going to go on tour, Entwistle died. Because he was hocked up on 8 balls in his Vegas hotel room with 18 hookers.
That's the way to go.
It is the way to go, but I would rather him wait to do that until after I'd seen The Who.
Fair, but still, come on.
Well, you wouldn't have seen
John
the Who
Entwistle.
anyway. You'd
Yes!
have seen Entwistle and Townsend.
Actually, no, it was Daltrey, Entwistle, and Townsend, and whoever they had for their drummer to replace Moon.
2 of them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you would have seen it. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
seriously.
So I would have
When I
seen,
saw
quote
them,
unquote, the rest of The Who.
They had 2 drummers.
On stage at the same time?
Yeah, they had to. Because
Wow.
it's really hard to find anybody who can beat Keith Moon.
But then again, if you think about it,
Indeed.
the history of Keith Moon really never learned how to play the drums.
He just knew how to beat on
He knew how
stuff.
to beat on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Roger and Pete are like,
you know why he got
Yes!
hired? You know why he got hired, right?
Because he was a lunatic?
He was friends with...
Well,
His family was friends.
Literally, they went to a show where he was playing with whatever band he was with, and at the end of the show, he fucking destroyed his drum set, and they were poor as church mice, as Better Half would say. And
Oh, yeah, the Moon family was rich.
well, but not well. Okay, so but anyway, the band wasn't making any money, and at the end, he just destroys the set, and they're like, "We've got to have that guy. And that's the edge we need."
And it is the Who's fault as to why the band's name is Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Yes.
As opposed to Lady Ziegler.
Because I think it was
Seems like
Jimmy
a lead
Page
balloon.
came up with this
Yeah.
name, and then they were hanging out. They were friends with Daughtry and Pete Townsend,
Mhm.
and I think it was Daughtry said, "Yeah, that's going to go up like a Led Zeppelin."
Lead balloon, actually.
Lead balloon.
That was the term he used
Right.
at the time. But yeah.
and Led
Yeah.
Zeppelin, the name was born.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, it's still
And
spelled
Daughtry
as
But
Like
Daughtry also
showed.
said that when he first heard Rogers, when he first heard Robert Plant sing,
Mhm.
Daughtry said, "We're out of a job."
Yeah.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
and also there's a Rod Stewart did
Is he still alive?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's still alive.
Rod and Jeff Beck
There's no
actually. Well, actually, no.
Yeah, proof.
I should say Jeff Beck hired Rod Stewart to sing the Willie Dixon song "You Shook Me," and right at that time,
So he
the
shook
first
his
Zeppelin
dick.
album came out with their version of it, and Jeff listened to it and went, "Oh fuck," because that one's better than mine, and that's the one that they're going to remember, and that's the
Well,
case
so it's
right
like,
now.
what was it? Eddie Van Halen was drunk one time. He was talking to a band that was friends with him right before they released their first record,
Yeah.
and said, "Yeah, we're covering the Kinks' You Really Got Me." And then it became a race between his
Yeah.
friend's band, and when Templeton found out, literally ripped Eddie Van Halen a new asshole, because that was going to be their signed single.
Mm.
And even who's the lead singer of the Kinks?
Ray Davies.
Ray Davies actually heard Van Halen's version and said, "Yeah, they took our version and turned it into a jet airplane." So even Davies said it was a good cover.
Mhm.
And I'm one of those purists. I like the original. There are exceptions. I have heard, like, I love Tears for Fears. I love Mad World, but when I heard the cover
Yes.
for Donnie Darko, I thought that was a better version.
What was the guy's name that covered Gary Jules?
Gary Jules.
Okay.
Hated it.
You hated it?
Hated it.
It
You
made,
hated
it made
it?
the song sadder.
Yes, but it can only work about 3 times. Then it's like, okay, I'm done with this. Go ahead and listen to the Tears for Fears version about 20, 30 times, no problem. Then listen to Fortunate's cover of it. Whoo, doggy. Yeah, I can keep dancing to that all night long.
Well, it's like when Disturbed
Going
covered
strong.
Shout. I had to hear it when I first heard that
They covered Shout.
Disturbed covered Shout on their first record. And so I was like, oh, I've got to hear it. And they also covered Genesis Land of Confusion. Then they covered Faith No More's Midlife Crisis. So every album they've released, there's a cover of a song on the album. So when I found out that they were doing Shout, I'm like, oh, I've got to hear this. Because the only
Yeah.
other cover of Shout I've heard was from Concrete Blonde. It was a live version. And so I listened to it going, it's not bad. They kept it true to the original, but I like the original just a little bit more because it's Tears for Fears.
Yeah.
That's like I told you a couple shows before. If you really want to hear some angry lyrics, listen to Tears for Fears. It's
You've
just
done
very
that before.
catchy and poppy, which is why it was popular.
You told me that before.
I think it was like with your brother's apartment.
Hold on, hold on.
So I probably
Hail Shelter.
listened.
Okay.
Are you sure you weren't talking just to my brother? Because that happened a lot when we recorded at his place.
I thought I told you that. No, I told you on the phone.
Here,
where I
I
said
got-
there were angry blokes.
Oh.
So yeah,
Okay, I got a copy of The Hurting, or you may have it now. I
it's
don't
the
know.
first album.
Oh.
Just put it on for a week.
I personally feel that Tears for Fears
I like that.
steamrolled the emo generation
Yeah.
around the same time as Joy
Too
Division.
bad
and
you
New
run them
Order.
over.
Hi.
Well-
Mommy and Daddy have shit pots full of money and bought us all these instruments to
You
try
live in
to make us
suburbia. Shut the
happy.
fuck up.
And then we decided to write music about how we want to die. Fuck you!
But
Why don't you like the Smiths? I'm sorry, that was a band.
fuck Morrissey.
Okay, no.
He is
Fair.
the Jesus Christ of emo.
Fair, but the Smiths,
Jesus
not Morrissey. The Smiths.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Smiths. Back when Morrissey had a sense of humor.
True.
I mean, come on, girlfriend in a coma. Girlfriend in a coma. I know. It's serious.
That's fucking funny.
But what's just as funny is that have you heard Ministry before Just One Fix? Have you heard Pantera before Cowboys from Hell?
Oh God! I can hear
Some metal magic.
Oh, you mean their glam period?
Their glam
Yes.
period that they keep trying to bury.
We have actually vinyl of their stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, as for Ministry, the answer is
He's
In fact, I
Mr.
stopped
Industrial.
listening to Ministry at Filth Pig because I hated it and haven't started listening to them again from that. No, sorry, Filth Pig. And I was like,
But it was
forget it.
interesting that they were they're not from
Chicago.
They're from Chicago.
Moved to Texas.
They're America's version of Depeche Mode. Their first 10 years.
Yeah, well, first,
But he's in
not
Depeche
10, more
Mode.
like, give him 7.
7 years.
Yeah.
And then Al Jorgensen joined the band.
Nope, he started it.
He started it?
He was the primary person behind it the entire time.
Then why did he go from the Depeche Mode sound to industrial?
He's talented though.
Oh, yeah.
Thing that
He was going that direction the whole time. Twitch is the album to listen to, and then you can see the transitions occur. Land of Rape and Honey is where he decided to
Touch
just
himself.
do it. That's when he picked up his guitar that he put down in 1981. I was
Can you
like,
explain 1,000 Homo DJs?
brilliant.
Okay, I was wondering how the hell I got on my music collection. It was clearly from Dr. Vice. So I was like,
1,000
really?
Homo DJs.
It's like his side project.
No, I know.
Dude, they had like 30 of them. I mean, when you can program and don't have to practice, you can do it all day long. I do.
Exactly.
But I personally think, as far as programming is concerned, sampling, as far as the industrial is concerned, that it should have just been Trent Reznor and leave it at that.
Boy,
Close,
I want him to die.
I was going to admit, Nine Inch Nails have yet to surpass.
I was waiting for this.
Here's my thing.
This is what I was waiting for.
Nine Inch Nails was the band that ruined industrial. Oh, sorry. Nine Inch Nails, with the help of Marilyn Manson and Rammstein, ruined industrial.
Yeah.
Before that, it was cool. There was stuff going on. It had a different vibe, and it wasn't whining about the same bad relationship for 4 solid albums.
True.
I don't know. Ministry had something going on. Land of Rape and Honey was a phenomenal album. They didn't quite match up to it with The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste. But Front 242...
Dude, I will admit, they have some baller fucking album titles.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Yeah.
But after Just One Fix, I didn't care. Jesus Built My Hot Rod was an okay song. But
It was
I
a
liked
good
Just One
single.
Fix.
You know,
The
I
singles
just-
on that album were the only things worth it.
if I were them, I would go right in the vicinity of a fundamentalist Baptist church, crank my monitors to 11, and start with that fucking song right there.
Jesus Built My Hot Rod.
Yep.
And then it should be followed by Jesus Rode a Harley Davidson by Ava Kid Joe.
Yep.
Which is a phenomenal song.
And
Can I just say real quick, because you use the term monitors. So for
Moments is.
he used to date a musician, and he would call them monitors. And for the longest time, because it was in the setup where he had like his computer monitors.
Right.
For the longest time, I really thought that he was actually talking about his computer monitors, and then finally I figured out, I was like, oh, they're speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know those monitors in his room?
Yeah,
Yeah, they're mine.
I thought so.
Yeah.
So that was just my silly I'm a dork story.
Well, it's the same. When we were talking about Nine Inch Nails with their first album, it's the same thing with Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam has yet to surpass 10, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I really thought the best moment in Nine Inch Nails history was Broken.
Yes.
I loved Pretty Hate Machine. I thought Broken was brilliant, and I think one of the best things about it was the fact that it was only 6 songs.
The same thing with Fixed, which came after Broken, which was like remixes of what was on Broken and Pretty Hate Machine.
Yeah, but that sort of all of a sudden went, wow,
Wait, can I
and
say
that's
one
when they
thing
started
real quick?
arguing into the ground like a lawn dart.
I love remixes of songs. I'm not gonna lie,
I do too.
because I love techno as well as rock. So it's like for me, it's kind of like guilty pleasure.
No.
But I do not understand why Nine Inch Nails has to have so many fucking remixes of all their fucking songs.
Money.
It's money, it's...
Like, isn't there like 6 different versions for Starfucker? I mean, really, do you need 6? No.
No.
There's also 6 different
Zero would've
versions
been
of the
better.
Downward Spiral.
Yes.
You got the Downward Spiral, further Downward Spiral,
We should start recording.
And there's like 3 or 4
We're
different
recording. I
versions.
mean, we can
Yeah.
slice it in. 'Cause it's
Basically,
gonna
I
be
just
a
let him keep
Oh,
going
okay.
down the spiral and walked
We're
off.
recording.
Halo Zero is like 9 versions of.
Wait, is that down in it?
It's down in it with.
I don't know, let
Head
me
Like
check.
a Hole. There's like 9 versions of Head Like a Hole.
Are you all up in
And
it?
that was released
I'm
as
all
a
up in it.
Yeah.
which
To the
I thought
hilt.
was interesting.
To the hilt.
You have a remix before the album, and then he decided to do albums and then the remixes. And I'm like, no, do the remixes first. But I mean, like I said, Pretty Hate Machine, best album Nine Inch Nails ever did. They've done songs that were good past that, but not albums.
Mhm.
Queen, I'm a big Queensryche fan. I'm sorry to say, their magnus opus was Operation Mindcrime. Empire was a decent album after that. Promised Land was okay after that. I didn't like an album's worth of material from them.
I liked Operation Mindcrime a lot to the point where I think I listened to the tape long enough to turn it white.
Yes.
But
I did
actually,
the
my
same
favorite.
thing. I did the same thing with Appetite for Destruction. I have probably purchased that album 15 times in various formats.
Okay, first I gotta say my favorite album from Queensryche is still Rage for Order.
Okay.
Just because it's got its songs on it and I can listen to this and that and not have to listen to the whole thing.
Right.
Because, you know, you can't just put down Operation Mindcrime.
Right. Being that it's a concept album, it's the whole album's a story.
My bitch about Appetite for Destruction is the best song on there is only half of the best song on there. Rocket Queen.
Yeah.
Friggin' amazing until halfway through it, all of a sudden it turns into this ballad.
Yeah.
It's like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Can we just edit, quick, cut them off.
I do like the song Rocket
now.
I find it disappointing when I spend money on a record that I only like 3 or 4 songs,
Yep.
especially by a band I love.
Now, I have to say about Appetite for Destruction, though, seriously, I'm very on the fence regarding Guns N' Roses because I think they had a lot of potential
Yep.
and they totally blew all of it.
Yep.
But seriously,
They were complete douches.
there's not a
Yep.
single thing in the world I can say bad about Mr. Brownstone.
Mm-mm.
That is like their best full song ever, in my opinion. I mean,
Yes.
come on.
Yeah.
It's
I agree.
raunchy, it's rocky, it's about
Dope.
doing H, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's rock and roll excess,
exactly.
and that's what's
But what
best
I like
about
about
rock and roll.
Rock and roll excess. I can't get enough of it.
What I like about Appetite is that every song on that album is a story by one of the band members of what actually happened to them. 1 in a Million, which was off of Lies, was how Axl was trying to find Izzy, going from, I think it was Illinois to Chicago, or to LA to try to find him. Because they were kid friends, they were childhood friends. And wanted to start a band, and he literally took a bus.
They should just look for whorehouses. They find each other quickly.
Exactly.
Doom, doom.
Nowadays, you just have somebody's Facebook. Where are you at? Ha!
Exactly.
Stalker book.
Yeah. How you think I get dates?
Fuck you, Harmony. Just go to Facebook.
Yeah.
It's
If you
free.
hassle them long
There's
enough.
probably an eHarmony app on Facebook anyways. I
I'm
mean,
pretty
really.
sure
No, it's called Are You Interested? And they require payment.
Oh, that sucks.
Yep,
The
I'm not
app
doing that.
or-
No.
The app or the latest.
You look, like I said, you look at Pearl Jam. 10 was a good album.
Yep.
After that, they just did songs that I liked. I never liked an album after 10.
Yep.
Metallica,
'cause I'm asleep
we were talking
by
about
then.
this earlier.
I'm actually more of Master of Puppets Ride the Lightning
Even while
era,
I'm
but I
driving.
still thought And Justice for All had its moments, but it was a solid
Yeah.
album.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't as overall just beat my head in with a 2x4 like the previous two.
Puppets
Yeah.
is probably, in my opinion, Puppets is Metallica's best album.
I am pretty much of the belief that Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets pretty much came out of the same session.
Yeah.
So, I'm good with that. I consider it one of the best double albums ever.
I actually looked at Black, the Black album. I was like, every band deserves going off the beaten path.
Well, they went off after that repeatedly.
Right, but
And
I
then
mean,
they
if
tried
it
to
had
rescue
just
it
been the
with-
Black Album and they went back to the Justice and
Right.
Private Days, I'd have been fine with it.
Yeah,
But they decided, oh, Bob Rock, let's do this.
let's make a country song.
You leave James Hetfield to his devices, I guarantee you his solo album will be a country album.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Oh God.
or Southern Rock.
Oh,
Tell
trust
me
me.
I'm lying.
No, that's why I'm saying. Oh God, is that you're right.
If you listen to the
Should
song
be called
Mama
10 songs
Said-
about beer.
Yeah.
Beer beer and driving.
Yeah, I like fast car.
I gotta say though, I played the Black Album a lot when I was a teenager, so I can't hate on the Black
Oh, I
Album.
do too. It
You know,
had catchy
Zombie
songs
can pull
on it.
that off. Hetfield, not so much.
I mean, I'm sorry, Inner Sandman was a great song. And I don't think it did get overplayed, but I don't think it got overplayed as much as other bands' stuff.
Like
Actually-
Epic from Faith No More, Dear God, Make It Die.
Epic did get overplayed.
Make It
Welcome to
Die.
the Jungle did
Just
get
make the
overplayed.
video
Yeah, but Welcome
itself
to the Jungle was
die.
good
I hate
enough.
that.
It's,
With
well,
the first
know,
flopping at the end,
listen
and
to
they're
it.
like, let's
Pretty
just
cool.
tape it.
it's like we've had the conversation where there are certain
Understand
songs I would never get tired of.
Inner Sandman,
Yeah,
when that
and-
first came out, there was a demo released to some radio station, I forget what. A friend of mine happened to catch it during the first play. It was like, dude, got that new Metallica song here. Because I was a huge Metallica fan, favorite band. So I put it in my stereo in my room. My friends are all out in the living room hanging out. Start listening to it, and I ended up in the living room.
Fully
Which
clothed?
means that I probably got through 2 minutes, got bored, turned it off, and wandered away. This isn't a good sign. The critics, when you have a question mark over it, no. Too long, didn't read.
Yeah, and you know, that's the unfortunate thing is that they allowed, because one, as you would say, Mr. Analog, yeah, there's one that is, well, he ruined them, but they let him, because in my opinion, you know, he was telling them to go sound like the Cult on that one song that you were playing before everybody came over.
Firewoman.
Yeah, Firewoman, yeah, and all that kind of thing.
Hold on, who?
The Cult.
Yeah, what about him?
Well, Bob Rock produced
a lot of
produced the Cult
Cinderella.
Yeah, I know.
And he
Bob
wanted-
Rock
I
produced,
think he produced some of the Cult's albums.
He did. That one that he's talking that one that he's talking about. So he wanted James to do a little of that,
Mm,
and James is like, "Oh, you want me to do this? Okay."
yeah, no.
And
It's
so,
like I
you
said,
want me to make-
Metallica got the prestige, but I always thought Megadeth was better.
Well, real
I'll be
quick,
honest about this regarding the Cult. Honestly, after Love, forget it. Just
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead and flush their career.
Yep.
Love, one of the greatest rock albums
Yep.
of all time.
I agree. And there's what is the James Addiction song where there's a live version of it, and he goes, I don't really, drugs and war and but I
Yes, he
just
did.
wanna fuck.
Yeah, he did. 1989, he produced the Cult's Sonic Temple.
Yeah, but I can't remember what the name of that damn James Addiction song is, and it's off.
who produced
First
it?
album?
Bob
It might be, but there's a live version where he says that.
Yeah, I think there was some live stuff on the first album.
Oh, okay.
The one on
'cause-
the Triple X label?
Yeah.
Now, don't
'cause
get me
that
wrong.
I like.
Don't get me wrong. I like Bob's Rock production on everything but Metallica.
Right.
Okay, from what I heard,
Did-
they went into the studio with Bob Rock, and they were like, oh yeah, well we've been listening to Trouble a lot.
Yeah.
I think people should have taken music away from Metallica, you know,
Yeah.
and just, no, go do your thing. What are we going to listen to? NPR.
Yes.
Well, what I thought was really interesting was I remember I was watching something randomly years ago on, it was either VH1 or MTV, and what I thought was so interesting was when Metallica was talking about making the Black Album. Apparently, it was the first time. What I thought was so interesting was James was talking about how it was the first time that his lyrics were brought into question.
Yes.
So he was told to rewrite them, and that was kind of like it was like a challenge for him.
Oh, he was
So-
pissed because he was being challenged continually because he's a
Yes.
control freak. He
I
doesn't
mean, I
want
don't-
anybody
but-
telling him what to do.
But I thought that was so interesting that maybe that was the attraction to that sort of environment was
Yeah.
him actually being challenged. Because if you think about the previous albums, it was kind of like do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, Fleming Rasmussen allowed Metallica to do what they wanted.
Yeah, Fleming
And I mean,
Rasmussen's.
I have to
Production
say,
sounded
yeah, I
better.
listened to the Black Album a lot when I was a teenager, but now I definitely prefer the Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning.
When I first heard
Records.
Nothing Else Matters, I thought it was a different take from Metallica, and I liked it until the radio got a hold of it.
Oh god.
And then it was overplayed.
Right.
And then it got worse with the three parts of The Unforgiven. You only need one. You only need one.
Yeah. That's like
You don't need parts 2 and 3. Fuck you.
please overkill, and I don't mean the Motorhead song.
Or
Yeah.
the band.
Yes.
I mean, what I think is so interesting is I kind of see what happened with Metallica. I see a lot with Rammstein, and you mentioned how Rammstein is partially responsible for ruining industrial music, and I kind of have to agree with that because I
They're
do.
the
I
devil,
made
it's
the
no
point.
biggie.
I made the point before where I feel like after their third album, Mozart, they just kept remaking their previous album, Sehnsucht, which got a lot of, which is what they became popular for in the States. And they let me finish. Don't you interrupt me.
Interruption!
Do you know how many interruptions I've had to deal with? You will stop right there.
As the man turns purple.
I know, he's just ready to burst.
Because he wants to.
But I mean, I feel like that's kind of like what happened with Metallica was they tried to go somewhere and it actually was successful and it's like they just stopped trying. They just decided, well, if this works, let's just go with that. And that's what I feel like Rammstein did. Well, this worked. This got us publicity in the States. This got us a U.S. tour. Let's just do that over and over again. I mean, and then it's not to say that there aren't good songs from the later records. It's just saying, as a whole, I'm bored.
When Kirk Hammett says that he feels that the Black
He was
Album
next.
was their Dark Side of the Moon, I wanted to smack him.
Yeah,
You know,
I get it.
when the Black Album was out for about a year, I remember, before it came out, they were my favorite band. I'm a Metallica fan.
Mm-hmm.
Black Album comes out a year later, people are like, oh yeah, hey, do you like Metallica? Never heard of it.
I got the opposite. I had people come up to me and says, have you heard this new band Metallica? I just got the Black self-titled album. I'm like, they've been around since '82. Shut the fuck up.
But what were you going to say about Rammstein ruining industrial?
Oh, just the fact that, everything counted for, Rammstein did take a brilliant idea, and it was take basically the same music Leibach was pulling off, 5-10 years earlier, and
Or
add...
because came out before Rammstein, and it's actually, Rammstein is actually quoted as being one of their major influences.
Okay. Basically,
Just had to jump in there.
they took they took Leibach and Oomph, put them together in an absolutely commercially sellable and ludicrous sounding package,
Yes.
and actually made it fly. Congratulations to your marketing team. Please turn that off now.
Yeah.
Well, they play with fire on stage, so obviously they
Dude,
gotta be a class act.
Apparently,
Come
Till
on.
got they used to break
Hendrix
fluorescent
did that
bulbs
in the
over each
60s.
other's backs on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Gimmicky. That's fine.
It gimmicky, stereotypical. I mean, just they play out on stereotypes. And what's hilarious is my brother has never studied German, but he can tell it's complete gibberish. The lyrics are not actual lyrics; it's just gibberish. And especially if you try to translate it to English, it doesn't make no fucking sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. I just used a double negative, and I had to correct myself.
Speaking of...
So analog kid didn't have an aneurysm.
But I love when the kids were like, "Oh, their lyrics are so complex."
Speaking of marketing and gimmicking, Maynard from Tool, since you brought up Tool. Not a lot of people know that Tool, Maynard, before he formed the band Tool, was one of the members of Green Jello.
The hell is what? I've never
That had to
Wow.
change their name to Green Jelly as a
Green
result of the
Jelly.
I
lawsuit.
actually had the original CD when
I
it
do
was
have
still
the
We did
original
too,
CD.
yeah.
Yeah, I had to hawk that.
I still
Wait,
have the
had
original
to?
CD.
Hey.
I saw that.
Everybody's like, fuck yeah, Tool and OPA and Perfect Circle. I'm like, you guys know it was part Green Jello, right? With Three Little Pigs?
Yeah, but I try to think of the
House
better
of Teenage
moments.
Rave.
Dude, that was awesome.
That is a great song. I'm going,
Yeah. You want to play with
Snakey.
Snakey? Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah.
I've got to get you to listen to this album.
Okay.
They're great musicians. It was all about a gimmick.
I mean, he's gotten me to listen to the song Sex Dwarf, so I mean,
Dude, you need to hear Dirty Sanchez cover of it. It's awesome. No, I actually have a folder of Sex Dwarf covers.
How many were there?
Dude, everybody and their dog covers Sex Dwarf whenever they get a chance. I haven't done it yet because I can't get
They
Paul to
teach
play
their
guitar
dog
on it.
to-
Paul's about this tall. It's an issue.
He's adorable.
It was like with gimmicks and marketing for weirdness. There are very few Melvins fans.
Very few what?
Melvins.
Yeah. There's a reason.
I love the Melvins. Stoner Witch and Stag are the two best albums in my opinion from that band. But King Bozo, I'm just going, dude, you calm down. I don't need a track of what sounds like you throwing up.
Yeah.
I really don't.
God.
Yeah. They would mess with sounds. They would record stuff for shits and giggles in between tracks. I'm just going, I just want to get to the music.
They would also take a 1 minute long song and stretch it out to 10.
Why?
Experimentation.
I think it's a cool idea. I'm just way too ADD for that shit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, great idea, but
I start getting the twitches, and I'm like, next. Okay, forget it. I'm putting on Motley Crue.
I had a friend in college where, like, literally, he would not let a full song play. Like, he would change, like, he'd be driving, and he would change it to the next song when there was still, like, 30 to 45 seconds left of the song. And finally, I was just like, because he was driving me crazy with it. And I finally was just like, oh my God, can you really not listen to a full song? And he was just like, I blame mindless self-indulgence. Click. Change the song.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, yeah, mindless self-indulgence.
I have the opposite effect. I will annoy the crap out of people by playing a song over and over again if I like it.
My brother does the same thing.
And and I don't even realize I'm doing. I don't realize that that's a potential irritant for other people in the car because I'm enjoying the song.
Yeah.
Until somebody yells at me, "I've already heard this song 20 times. Please skip the next track." Sorry, cool. But that's one of the reasons why I love driving myself alone in the car.
Yeah.
Was that I could crank it up as loud as I want, and I could. I mean, I'm 15 miles away from work. I could listen to it a good 5 times before I get home.
Nice.
Rush is a prime example. Big, huge Rush fan. I will listen to 2112 and its entire 20-minute epicness over and over again. I just think it's a great song.
Do you have Parkinson's or are you twitching?
Rush gives me Parkinson's. I think they're really good musicians. It's kind of one of the last moments of SLC punk pretty much did it for me. And it was like, this is one of those things. I came to this realization years before the movie came out. So when this happened, I had an overwhelming sense of validation from it. It's just the part when, it's a flashback to when they're kids and he's sitting there like painting miniatures in his basement listening to Rush. And his friend comes over and he's like, yeah, I think we've got a really good D&D game coming up. And his friend's like, you need to quit listening to Rush. He's like, why? They have really complex arrangements and fantastic musicianship. Yeah, but it's not stuff you listen to when you want to, like, get drunk and party with chicks.
No, it's not. I will freely admit it. A lot of people refer to it as nerd rock.
Yeah.
But Neil Peart is a machine.
Yes, he is.
I guarantee you he's a Terminator. I guarantee it.
Living tissue of an endoskeleton.
I guarantee it. I'm looking at this man at his age doing vapor trails right after doing YYZ, and I'm going, my arms are falling off.
Yeah. My whole thing about that is those, being an electronic musician personally, you get a lot of grief from the analog community. It's like, oh, you can't actually play that live, can you? And it's like, no, I don't have to. I programmed it. I got it right the first time. I don't even have to practice.
I like the analog sound.
Analog sounds great, but you know what's even better than that? It's when you program something and people are like, oh, who's your drummer? Yeah, Hewlett-Packard. Right now, I finished programming some guitar. Yeah. Programming guitar, very difficult actually, because you have to have the right synthesizer to be able to start it with. Then you got to run it through an amp modeler. And, I've got the proper programs to be able to pull that off and all, but you have to really, really be careful with how you set the parameters for everything so that it has a realistic sound to it. And I'm like, yeah! So I finally got my tone down, finally got it working exactly the way I wanted to. Sounds like Motley Crue. I've been doing some reassessing of my values.
I was going to say, you do this complex programming to make party rock.
Yeah!
I would have been impressed if you came out with Rush.
Right. Here's the problem. It's easier to come up with something synthesized sounding that's done like Rush than it is to make something analog sounding that sounds like Motley Crue. Right. Or actually, in the case of a song I was playing for my roommate the other day, Def Leppard. Apparently, I can program guitar
prior to the car accident?
Or
after the car accident?
After.
Okay.
Oh, it's good.
I love Def Leppard up to Hysteria.
Yes.
They should have stopped after Hysteria.
I actually didn't really like Hysteria much either.
I love the song Hysteria.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I make the joke of, and this is nothing against him at all, but I think it's messed up when a drummer sounds better with one arm than with two.
Oh, well, I'll give you that.
Because of the drum triggers in the program.
Yeah.
But I will give him props. Within a day, less than a day after his accident, he's sitting there in his hospital bed sketching up his new drum kit. And Joe Elliott's coming in and saying, I don't know how we're going to keep going. I don't know what's going to do, you know. And then he's sitting there and he goes, hey, look, here's what I've come up with. And so, with one arm. And Joe's like, you just had an accident where you lost an appendage, and you're doing this already. So I give the man props that he designed his own new drum kit.
He
based
kept
on
going. He didn't
kept
just get
going.
Get knocked
But
off.
now they're country.
Oh.
And I don't like it.
It's like, okay, has anybody heard when Nightwish got the new singer? Because apparently they went country.
I like the range of the new singer a lot better than the original singer.
Does it sound like country, though?
Not to me. It sounds more operatic.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know, because I haven't heard it yet.
But then again, I don't know what's worse. The fact that Def Leppard went country, UK version of country, or Timbaland touching Chris Cornell's music.
What?
Chris Cornell's last solo album was produced, mixed, and engineered by Timbaland.
Why?
For expanding his audience. And it was the highest selling album of his solo career.
But was it
Because he hit...
good?
No, well, if you're expecting Chris Cornell, you're going to hate it. If you have an open mind of hip-hop, you'll love it.
Whoa, wait, he went hip-hop for this record? No.
Yes.
No.
We have a mutual friend, mutual ex-coworker, who thought it was worse than Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy. To which I defended that album. I did admit that it wasn't worth the 12-year wait, but I thought it was a solid record.
Right.
But he's like, it is worse than a coaster.
Was it marketed as a rock album?
No.
Wow. I believe this
You blew my
conversation has
mind.
given me
He's wearing... Chris Cornell is actually wearing, like, you know, scarves and hip-hop clothes and big old round sunglasses as part of the photo shoots. Yeah.
Why?
It's not Soundgarden. It's not the Soundgarden sound or the look. It's not Audioslave. It's not Chris Cornell's original solo work.
Oh, wow.
It
I
is,
really want to see Chris Cornell with teeths.
Oh,
That'd be
yeah.
awesome.
And I'm just going, God, I hate this record.
I mean, I'm all for, you know, experimentation and expanding your music and trying new things,
Yeah,
but
but usually-
I can't
You can't
honestly think that this record is in that vein, that this is more of a, I want money, I
It
want to
was.
market it.
Why is my idea of experimentation stuff like Andy Gill from Gang of Four using tube amps instead of solid state? I mean, come on. You don't need to. There are some bands that can do experimentation.
Yes.
Like, do you remember Coroner? They were kind of a precursor to death metal, thrashish band from Sweden. They were roadies for Celtic Frost, actually.
Okay.
And very good musicians. And, you know, they would experiment. And whenever they experimented, it got awesome. They
Right.
do neat stuff. It was really cool. They managed to make one bass, one guitar, and one pair of drums, or one set of drums, sound a lot denser. And, you know, it was friggin' amazing. They would experiment. Metallica, for example, though, experimenting with Bob Rock, not so good.
No, you know what's
Exactly.
worse? Experimenting with Lou Reed.
Okay, Lou Reed should not be allowed to experiment. Remember Metal Machine Music?
Yep.
Yeah, oh no. No. Great idea for being able to make something to alienate everybody. I mean, I consider that to be an act of terrorism, which I'm for. But, you know,
Yeah.
with the way he did it,
If it's done right.
yeah. It was like the first 2 minutes of it.
Oh, we're gonna be on a list.
What?
Oh, mommy and daddy are gonna be mad if we talk about being terrorists.
Audio
Oh.
terrorism is a completely different sort of thing. I mean, you know, but if you want to sample the Twin Towers going down, you know, that's fun. But hard to get close enough. And the time has passed. We'll never get the audio equipment out there soon, you know, quickly enough.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like we talked about Limp Bizkit. I know a lot of people don't like them, and I think it's varying degrees of why people don't like Limp Bizkit because of Fred, people don't like their sound.
Why are you blaming me? Oh.
No, not you, Mr. Best.
I'm not a big Limp Bizkit fan either.
What I liked about
No.
Limp Bizkit was with the quote-unquote label nu metal, they picked up where Suicidal Tendencies left off, where Suicidal Tendencies would have taken their genre. And when they came out with Results May Vary, it was aptly titled. It was a more mature approach to songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
It was more experimentation, and it was their worst-selling record because everybody wanted Chocolate Starfish.
Which is not a...
Which
Good
sounds
God.
naughty in and of itself.
But I loved that album.
I've
It's
heard
my
that.
favorite Limp Bizkit album because
Heard
of
that.
how it was actually more constructed for songs. It was more constructed with the instrument experimentation. Fred actually had a little bit more mature writing as opposed to his previous releases. With
But was
Prince.
there less douche with
As
this?
far as I was concerned, yes. I mean, he still pimped out
I
Limp
mean, it's
Bizkit.
really hard. I know that, I think your doorbell just rang. I will make this point while you are checking your door. But I'm just basically saying, I mean, I understand that you can you don't have to like an individual to like their music, and there is a separation. But it's really, really hard to like music if you know that the people making it are complete douches. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Even though you're supposed to be able to, separate it, and art is not a, whatever, art and art is just separate.
And that's why I don't like 9 Inch Nails.
But for me personally, if you're a complete douchebag, I don't want to support you in any way. I don't want to encourage your behavior. I don't want to, buy your albums or anything like that. I don't, but it's difficult.
Yeah. I haven't bought one of his albums since Further Down the Spiral. No, sorry, actually Downward Spiral. I didn't even bother with the next one.
Further Down the Spiral.
No, that was the next one after that. The remix album, which I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
Further Down the Shithole.
I should have known something when Fixed came out. I was like, okay, Broken, great album, remix album. Let's see how this. Then Downward Spiral, not so much. But yeah, guy throws a TV at a friend of mine. He's not on my good side, so I don't buy his stuff.
You threw a TV at a friend of yours?
Yeah, he threw a TV at
Really?
while he was firing him.
I don't know this story.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't like him. That and the fact that he also, when ended up getting an opportunity to send a demo in so that he could get rehired again, he gets a call back from the manager, going, yeah, no, Trent's not going to be working with anybody over the age of 23.
What?
He apparently at that point, this was before With Teeth came out, apparently he was trying to gear up to do a drum and bass sound. Yeah. So anyway, she's telling him he's not going to be working with anybody under the age of 23. But how did you make those sounds?
Oh, hell no. He did not tell her.
He had to.
Why?
Because he already ended up pulling strings in order to get him in so that he could get the demo to him.
The guy threw a TV at him.
Yeah, the guy also pays a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Did he at least get paid for telling him how he made his stuff?
Oh no, God no.
Well, then what the fuck was the point of telling him?
He didn't want to cut strings with the person who had gotten the demo from his hands to Trent's desk.
In
But
other
still.
words of Trent Reznor, you don't fight the hand that feeds.
Right. And ever wants to get hired again for what would this be like the 8th time?
If I was I would say that as far the fuck away from this douchebag as possible.
Well,
How much of a child do you have to be to throw a TV at somebody?
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Well, when you're
Right.
treated like Jesus by the industry you're working for because you're a fucking cash cow,
yeah.
then
I mean,
and
I
it's
don't
the same-
doubt that
it's
Trent
the
Reznor
athlete
can milk a
syndrome.
hamster, okay? I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
Let me
the
ask you a
athlete
question.
syndrome.
If you
They're
were
they're
paid-
treated like Jesus Christ from the time they're little because they can swing a bat or catch a ball. So little Johnny gets away with everything, and it's the same way when
Little Johnny is
you're
an ass
young.
whooping.
Yeah, but it's the same way when you're young and you make it in the music business, because then they throw all this shit at you, and it's like, hookers? Yeah. Dope? Sure. Booze? Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently you're still a whiny little shit the entire
Exactly.
time anyway.
And you never fucking grow up. I mean, look
Yeah.
at the guys in Metallica. They got famous when they were, what, 18, 19?
Oh, yeah.
And then they immediately went into the alcohol tank, and James is apparently still sporadically in it. And when you're that way, you stop emotionally from that point, because what you're doing is trying to bury shit
Mm-hmm.
by doing this. So he still hasn't grown up. He's still a turd.
Let me ask you a question. If you were paid $150,000 a year, every year, and you had fringe benefits, where your travel was paid for, your food was paid for, on top of 150 grand. Would you tolerate a television being thrown at you every once in a while?
No.
No.
Trent threw the television at his friend
I
that
understand.
Trent
Well,
was firing.
I
Right.
understand that, but I'm saying, what if the guy that was the recipient of the TV
Oh, yes.
was getting paid
Oh.
$150,000? I think I
Well, I
tolerate
mean,
it.
yeah, you could
Yeah.
just.
No,
You gotta be quick on your
tolerate it.
feet. Move!
Oh,
Move!
yeah.
I'll put it
But that
this way.
doesn't excuse
Cash
the
my check.
behavior.
Well, it's still one of
But
those
that doesn't
things.
excuse
I'd
the
own
behavior.
his
You
ass
still
at
act
that
like a
point.
child.
I'm not
Kind
saying
of-
it does. I'm just saying
I own
everybody
his-
has
I mean,
My
some.
yeah,
problem with it
there's
is it's just
workplace,
getting
things that
fired
you gotta
while
deal with.
having TV thrown at you.
Yeah.
That's called insult to injury.
I mean, the other thing too is just.
I'd own his ass.
Yeah.
Exactly. If I'm
Apparently,
getting fired
Trent
and
was
it's a
drunk
missile
enough
is
to
coming
miss
at
by a
me,
lot, but
at the same
still.
time I'm moving, my brain is going, must see lawyer later this afternoon.
Exactly.
And then I will
I
own.
think your doorbell went off.
I mean, I'm Italian. I understand what it's like to be so angry that you just want to throw things at people
Right.
or throw things at a wall and just avoid people altogether.
Hey, I'm Irish.
I still
know that
feel
feeling.
like a child
You do.
though when I'm done.
Yeah,
when I
I
calm
do it all
down
wrong.
and I think about what I did, I still feel like a child. Because I threw something at a wall. I threw a beer bottle at a wall. I feel like a child. When I calm down and I think about what I did, I still feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if
But
I were
I
a
feel like-
celebrity making that much
Which
money, I
brings
guarantee
me
you,
to my channel.
I would be a prima donna brat.
I would totally be
In
an
fact, I would
Italian
love it.
princess.
Yeah,
An Italian
totally.
American princess.
Dude, we need to get famous and just act up.
Have those bouffant every single day.
This leads me to my
Well,
first.
should we actually start? Well, this is still a test.
Okay,
We never actually started the show.
that's fine. We'll start.
We
right
were
in-
just getting to know Dr. Legs.
Where's the
Can't
restroom?
think
by the
of
way?
no,
By the front
by the front door.
Okay. Be right back. I think I can find the front door now.
You sure?
Yes.